Former President Trump is back in court for day 3 of the civil fraud trial against him. A judge has already ruled Trump, his sons, and other executives engaged in fraud, ordering their business certificates in New York canceled. Now the trial will decide what additional penalties Trump and other defendants could face. Senior investigative reporter Aaron Katersky joins me now from the courthouse, along with business reporter Alexis Christoforous and ABC News legal contributor Brian Buckmeyer for more. Aaron, what's the latest there in court?
The cross-examination of an accountant who was largely responsible for preparing Trump's financial statements that the judge has already determined to be fraudulent is continuing under Jesus Suarez, an attorney for former President Trump, whose tone today seems markedly different. He was rather combative and almost performative with Trump sitting there in the room when the cross-examination began yesterday, marveling at how the accountant performed the tax functions for the 45th president of the United States, possibly even the 47th president of the United States. That drew a laugh in court when the Attorney General's team objected and the judge sustained it. But it does show, Diane, how Trump is trying to press this case to his political advantage, although today it's much more subdued and the testimony is revolving around Donald Bender's role in all these accounting functions for the former president.
Now, Alexis, the state's first witness was an accountant who pored over Trump's financial statements. What stuck out to you from that testimony?
All right, so Aaron was just saying Donald Bender, longtime tax consultant and a tax accountant for Trump. And again, he wanted to show this pattern, this process that the Trump organization uses to report large losses on their financial statements every year for the past decade. And he did reiterate here, possibly trying to move some of the attention off himself, that the Trump organization and its trustees were responsible for the accounting practices and principles used in the records. We should note that Trump's lawyers tried to get Bender's testimony, a blanket objection to his testimony, but the judge denied that.
And Brian, something interesting happened earlier today. Trump spoke outside the court, and he said he would have a much easier time if this were a jury trial, not a judge trial. I want to play that soundbite for you.
So she brought the case under the statute that had never been used for a thing like this before, ever, where I'm not entitled to a jury. Because if I had a jury, even though it's in New York, and I think I do fine with New York, but if I had a jury, we'd win this case very easily. But I don't have a jury.
Now, the judge yesterday said kind of two contradictory things. First, saying that cases like this don't usually allow for juries, but also saying that neither side asked for one. So was this a mistake by Trump's attorneys? Could they have requested a jury here, and could this be grounds for an appeal?
Yes and no as to kind of all of those questions. So it's just a check of the box. They could have checked the box, they could have litigated it, they could have argued it, but it makes sense for them not to check that box because typically this doesn't happen. In a case like this, it's often a bench or judge trial and not a jury trial. But in terms of appeal, often the phrase is, if you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't ask for it and then the judge denies it, you can't then take it up on appeal. I think right now, if you look at that September 26th ruling by the judge and kind of the defense already being behind the 8 ball, so to speak, with his earlier rulings, yeah, I think Donald Trump probably does think he had a better chance with a jury, considering what this judge already ruled, but that is long gone at this point.
Now, Alexis, the judge has already canceled the Trump Organization's business certificates in New York. So what impact is that having so far? And what's the worst case scenario at this point for him and these other defendants?
I think the worst case scenario is Attorney General Letitia James gets everything she's asking for, which would be a permanent ban on Donald Trump and his sons from being able to do any business in the state of New York. She's also looking for a 5-year commercial real estate ban anywhere for Trump and the Trump Organization. If the judge signs off, the Trump family will no longer be a real estate family in New York, and his name is going to come off of all of those buildings. But we should note that an appeal is expected here that would put a stay on the ruling. This could make its way up to the state Supreme Court, so it could take years for this to wind its way through the courts, and all the while he would still be able to do business in the state.
And Aaron, this is one of several cases the former president is facing. Sources now tell ABC News that a number of Trump's co-defendants in the Georgia election interference case have been approached about potentially making a deal. What's the latest on that?
We've already seen one guilty plea in the case out of Georgia, the criminal case out of Georgia. Scott Hall, a bail bondsman who was pleaded guilty to his role in breaching the voting equipment of rural Coffee County, Georgia. And we've since been told, according to sources familiar with the case, there are a number of other defendants who have not only been offered plea deals, but who are actively negotiating, and so those could come as soon as this week. And if past practice holds, those deals would require those defendants to cooperate and testify against former President Trump and the others when they end up at trial. And the first trial, first of two trials in that criminal case in Georgia, is set to begin later this month.
All right, Aaron Katersky, Alexis Christoforous, Brian Buckmeyer, thank you all.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.